Hi and welcome to one of my vintage HiFi videos. Today I'm going to go over two tuners and one receiver, try and compare the three together, as I think this tuner in this receiver is probably matched, pretty nearly matched to these other two, being one of the bottom of the range receivers, bottom of the range receiver at the time, and just one model up from this. I'm just going to go over it, so I'm going to come back and talk about, I'm going to take some pictures of the inside, etc, so I'm probably going to talk about that. So these will probably disappear because I'm going to have to get them out of the way, undo them. I can't remember what's inside each, even though I probably took a photo of each before. I'm just going to go over it again, refresh it in my head and come back to that. So really at this stage, I'm not too sure where you're going to see this video, in which particular order I'm doing it all in, but yeah, at this stage just really going to talk about maybe the looks at the front, and you know what the differences are, and my overall opinion of the sound difference between these three models. Like I say, two tuners and one receiver. So to make this fair, I've run them. I didn't realise I could do this, but I managed to do this. So I'm trying to and keep it as fair as possible. I've run them all off the same aerial. All the same aerial is connected to all three receivers, so it's not having one aerial in one position. One's slightly different, one's slightly, so the signal may be slightly different from each one. They're all actually running off the same aerial, which I was surprised I could do. Anyway, I managed to do that, and it didn't interfere with any of the signals. It didn't bring any of them down. They were that particular signal, just using that aerial by itself. So even connecting them up, all three of them still in the same position, the signal meter. And I didn't hear any difference in sound anyway, really. Well, I didn't, so not really, I just didn't. So that's that. I just wanted to tell you how I did it. Also, what I did here, so because obviously it's hard, you can't put a radio on and think, oh, I listen to that song, and I'll quickly flick another one on, and that song's halfway through maybe, and or different songs come on. It's going to be hard to try and remember it. So I've managed to do it where I've got, I've kind of done it in stages, to be honest with you. What I've done first of all, I've obviously got the normal radio here, which is the FM input selector on this amp here, this receiver here, it's on the FM. For one of the others I put it on auxiliary, and for one of the others I put it on tape monitor. So that's how I did it initially. Then when I kind of thought two were near each other, I kind of just done the receiver one against each other, and so forth, like so. It was one against one, then three against three, so to speak. So I kind of did it that way. It's and obviously I'm listening to the, you know, with the radio, it's like I say, it's hard to remember one song from another, and you know, getting that kind of like sound. It's nice to have the sound all the same, but it'd be handy if the radio played all three songs at the same time or something like that. And not at the same time, like once, and you could listen to it, then maybe play it again. I don't know, but anyway, the way I did it, I thought was pretty fair. Like I say, listen to the song as it's going, and a lot of these songs obviously repeat the chorus and stuff like that, so it's a repetition of that particular like arrangement of music, so to speak. So yeah, I'm getting in, you know, quickly flicking, listening to one arrangement, knowing it's going to be come up again, and pressing one of the other tuners, and also going backwards and forwards quickly, all different stuff really, to be honest with you. On first impressions, when I first turned these on and I went from one to the other, I sat here and thought, well, this is going to be a bit of a pointless video because I can't tell the difference. You know, first initial, until you actually sit down and really listen, I couldn't initially, like, you know, sometimes you put one on, you know, one receiver on another receiver or something, and you can tell the difference, you know, oh, it sounds totally different to that one, kind of thing. Or one set of speakers against another set of speakers, that sounds different. And the reason I've got these speakers in the way is just got so much rubbish behind, I didn't want you to see all that, so I'm trying to mask it a bit. But anyway, this is all done downstairs, as usual, away from all the interference and whatever. Anyway, yeah, so I mean, I'm only going to tell you what I've written down, like I say. We'll go inside, and we'll have a look inside and see the difference between each one of them as well. So you can maybe make your mind up there, so to speak. And roughly what I think they go for on eBay at the moment. I'm going by eBay, is probably the place you're going to pick them up from if you wanted to go and get one tomorrow, so to speak. Right, yeah, the 2050. It's a nice. I mean, let's look at the front first, maybe. It's a nice looking receiver. You notice a bit of a difference here between all three of them. Actually, this blue, I put blue LEDs in here, and these blue LEDs are slightly different to the blue LEDs whoever put them in this bottom receiver. These have had blue LEDs as well. There's a subtle difference between the two. Well, this one here I've replaced with all the proper normal bulbs. I say all. The only one I didn't do was these LEDs at the front, and the I'm not too sure that's LEDs or bulbs, to be honest with you. Maybe I have to look that up at some stage. I think they're LEDs, they look like it. I didn't actually change the dial one, but I changed the stereo one in this, and in this here all I changed was the the side LEDs and the 2 meter ones, LEDs, yeah, for LED, blue LED bulbs. But these have got the original, you know, obviously not the original because I replaced them, but the original like incandescent bulbs. And like I say, difference of opinion. I do like this look. It's got like a greener, you know, it's a greener tingy blue, more greener than blue, like that kind of green with a tinge of blue kind of look. And obviously it's not as bright as these other 2. So, you know, it's your taste, I suppose. But anyway, let's look at all 3 receivers as we actually look at them. I mean, they're all well built. Apart from maybe the top one's got the bottom of it, it's actually hardboard rather than metal. So that's maybe just a slight difference there. It's got a different way of doing the tuning by this normal like tuning rather than this kind of gyro that these other 2 use. The only other difference is it's got long wave, and it's got the 2 meters. It's got the signal strength, which is this side, and the FM, like the tuning, is here and there on these 2. Other than that, this hasn't got long wave, but it's got AM, FM, and this has got AM, FM. Well, they actually call it medium wave, long wave on here, and FM rather than AM on there. Well, they call it there, and they actually call it AM on this receiver here and FM. So that's the kind of difference between them 2. And this one here is got no tuning meter at all, but it hasn't got no signal strength meter, should I say. It's got a tuning meter. If I just move that across, yeah, it's got a tuning meter to get the tuning dead in, but it hasn't got a signal strength meter. So you're not really knowing what signal strength you're picking up on this, but obviously you can hear it, I suppose. But no signal strength meter. But this meter is slightly bigger than any of these other meters as well. So it's a slightly larger meter, more of a reading. Just a shame that maybe, you know, this lower model receiver-wise hasn't got a tuning meter like to tell you how strongly, well not tuning, a signal strength meter to tell you how strong the signal is. Other than that, pretty much all the same kind of push buttons on all of them. Like I say, just these for the actual tuning is difference there. So in the styling's a little bit more posher on this one, I suppose you could say, than this one. You know, the actual, you know, the styling of it and whatever. So that's that. That's the styling and the looks and the kind of feel for them, I suppose. Now let's get on to how I thought they actually sounded. Like I say, initial turning on, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference straight away. I don't think. You just flick through, you go, oh, nothing at all, no. But careful listening and listening in, I have managed to pick out some bits and pieces that I thought were different. Like I say, so I was listening to I listened to one station, to be honest with you, which you know, depending where you're coming from, I listen to Smooth Radio in the UK. Just to mention maybe the radio stations, like anything else, that yeah, sorry, this may be a bit long-winded video, this one, but radio stations, obviously, like TV stations, they all, you know, all broadcasting different like bandwidths. So some are giving out more information than others, a bit like TV. You watch UK Gold in the UK, for instance. That picture would be quite like SD, would be quite fuzzy. Yet another SD channel may be a bit more clearer than that one. They all seem to transmit slightly differently. So yeah, same with the radio stations, and I think some of these radio stations, this being a smooth radio station, kind of wants to kind of give that smooth sound, so it may have a bit of more openness to it, so to speak, I suppose is what I'm looking for, or you know, just giving it more of a smoother sound, where some of them are more like punchy, the sound and stuff like that. So yeah, obviously the radio stations have got a bit to play with it as well, just like, you know, bearing in mind maybe. Right, okay, I'm finally going to get to the sounds, yeah. Right, I'm going to kind of compare them to each other, I suppose. None of them are all good receivers, you know. Obviously these are bottom of the range, these two, and this is still bottom of the range, so you're going to buy a more expensive one, £500, £400 tuner, or you know, £500–600 receiver. It's obviously going to sound better, I should imagine. You know what I mean, for paying the extra. But for what they are, these sound good. You know, I really thought, you know, I compared them with some of the other receivers, and these sound good. Definitely sound good. But anyway, I found this compared to each other. I found this 2050, the top one. It's a little bit more forward. You know, I felt the sound was a little bit more out there, like forward wise. More narrower, like, you know, as for space, I felt it was a little bit more narrower compared to, let's just say, what I'll go for each one and you have to kind of backtrack maybe to compare to, I'll try and compare them against each other in a minute, but this is more narrower, this sound, compared to one of the other two, or both the other two. I can't remember now, I've got it written down, but we'll come to it. So it's a bit more narrower, this sound, a bit more narrower I felt this sound, and a bit, you know, this is not a lot, but it definitely noticed the narrowness. And a little bit more bassy, just a little bit more, you know, not a massive amount, but a little bit more bassy. This was this top one. For the 2100, like I say, this is comparing against each other. This one was a bit more laid back. this tuner's a little bit more laid back, like with me. It's more open. It was more open as well. You know, the sound stage was more open. It was a more open receiver, laid back and open. And the bass is a bit less, a little bit less bass on this compared to these other two. There's a little bit less bass. And on the old, it sounded a little. This is tiny amounts. Seriously, this is tiny amounts. Because I said on first impressions, when you first turn them on, you wouldn't notice this. You're gonna have to sit there and pick it out, kind of thing. It's a little bit more smoother. This is a little bit more smoother. This was as well. So you know. And as for the signals, just go on them. These are pretty much the same. These two. This is downstairs. I think it was about 4.5. This was on about 4.25 on the same area. So just maybe I don't know. Maybe just the signal meter way it's set up, or the components inside, or whatever. So it's just slightly different. But yeah, it's a little bit more smoother. That was not a lot between them. So you know, you kind of got your choice there, I suppose. If you want a little bit more bass, maybe this is the one to go for. But it's gonna, you know, everything, you know, it's gonna be a little bit more narrower. Excuse me. And a little bit more forward, and this is a bit more laid back. Right, coming down to this bottom one, this is much like the 2050, this bottom one. It's very much like it. And a little bit more bass to it, and a little bit more bass to it, so pretty much an even kill, these two. The vocals though, the vocals are a little bit more like this model here. That's just to the vocals, just a little, you know, seem to pair up with this one more than this one, I should imagine. You know, it was a tad more open than this, just a tad, not as much as this. This is quite, you can notice the difference on there being more open. This was just a tad more open, but hardly anything, to be honest with you. So yeah, on an whole, it's not a lot between these two. You know, this, to me, this here has basically got near enough, got this inside it, so to speak. So yeah, I'll put down not a lot between the pair of them there. So yeah, on the whole, you know, if I had, like, you know, if you had a choice, so to speak, and you had a preference, you'd probably keep this, you know, keep this receiver and pair it up with this one here, giving it just a little bit more open. But you would not, honestly, you would not be disappointed with this. You would not be disappointed with this neither. There's not a lot between the three of them, honestly. It's just this is a little bit more open, a little bit more laid back. Maybe that's how I like my music, and everyone's different. But this is really tads, you know what I mean? It's nothing vast, that's for certain. Right, let's go on for prices now. On eBay, I should imagine you're going to pay about £60 for this, somewhere around there, I suppose. 60 quid, something like that for this one. The 2100, like I say, you're buying into getting a long wave. You're getting slightly different, like, features on it. So not features, well, you've got different features. You've got the long wave, but yeah, you're getting like a different look with the gyro. Well, it's a feature. You've got the gyro rather than the turning. Yeah, I like the gyro. Yeah, I don't mind both, but yeah, if you've got a preference, I think I prefer the gyro. It doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest with you. Yeah, this will go for about £100, I suppose, somewhere around there. I mean, this one is in really, really good condition, lucky enough. So yeah, that's about £100. And as for the amp, the 2216B, this is receiver. Should I keep saying calling them amps? I should imagine this is about £150, thereabouts on eBay. Yeah, so dollar-wise, $70. Probably $110, something like $100, something like that, and probably about $160, $170, somewhere around there, pounds and whatever. So yeah, that's the kind of price you'd be wanting to pay, I suppose. For 50 quid, 60 quid, bargain. Yeah, definitely going to get a bargain. 100 quid, nice, yeah, well worth the 100 quid, definitely. And for 150, 140, 160, somewhere around there, yeah, I think that's worth that. You know what I mean? It is worth it, yeah. Probably paying a bit for the names here and the styling, but yeah, it's still worth the money there anyway. So that's my views, sound and that. I'm going to come back, or you may have already seen me talk about the insides, what differences are. I can't remember off the top of my head, just to give you a genuine side, and probably looked at the back as well. Not as much to the backs of the tuners anyway. Hi, and I apologise for this video being a bit all over the place. It's a bit hard to put all together here. My first one I've done when I've kind of took things apart and showed you inside, and done a review and done this and whatever with 3 items, so it's a bit all over the place. But I just want to make a few corrections, and an apology for the lighting in here. It's not as bright as it was before, or something's got dark in it. It looks a bit grainy. Any flickering you see on the receivers, tuners, etc., no flickering here at all rock solid. And yeah, that's about it really, I think. And also, yeah, I did get a bit of a mix up. The actual where they stand in the range, these items. Yeah, the 2216 would have been near enough the bottom, I think, at the time of the receivers, if not the bottom. Yeah, I think they've done a 2215 I think, or something. But anyway, 2216, I think it's pretty much near the bottom. The 2050 is not actually the bottom. They did the 2020, then the 2050, then the 2100. So that's how they lied with them 3 tuners. But like in this little part of the video, just really going to look inside. And I was a little bit surprised what I see, you know, comparing 2 together. I was expecting 2 to look pretty much the same, but they weren't the 2 I thought they'd be. So here we go. We'll look at the 2050 first of all, receiver. As you can see, it looks quite neat inside. One thing you'll notice, like I said before, that it's got a cardboard bottom, what could I say, hardboard bottom, rather than any metal. Now, if you're buying a top of the range tuner, you will find that everything's got its own casing. It's all like stuck in little cases, like metal surrounding cases. Obviously this costs extra for them to do, and obviously you're paying the extra, and the receiver's going up in the range. So for these bottom ranges, there's no like extra shield or anything, and so much so that this one ain't even got a metal bottom. It's actually got a hardboard bottom. But I don't really think that affected it much at all, to be honest with you. It still sounded fine to me. It sounded really good, you know, it sounded really good. So yeah, I wouldn't let that put you off, that's for certain. But yeah, it's got a pretty nice simple design, nice simple layout. On the main board, just 1 chip there. The reason I say that is because when I come to the others, it's a slightly different layout, but 1 main chip there. As we swing it round, look at the back of it, it's got its own phono cable coming out rather than the opportunity for you to put your own leads in. You know, some people like buying these really top quality leads, and I don't think it's really necessary for this tuner. Still sounded fine, and why would you buy a bottom of the range tuner to put top of the range leads in, maybe? So yeah, you know, it's pretty fine as it is. And I didn't mention the AM or long wave reception on these, so I did go back and have a quick listen, and it was a quick listen, and they all pretty much sounded the same. I mean, I don't think there would be any major vast differences. One may be stronger, pulling in the signal or something like that, but I didn't really notice it downstairs, to be honest with you. It all sounded okay to me, and obviously it's a lesser of a signal anyway. Right, so that's that one. If we go to the 2100, as you can see, it's still a nice layout there. Yeah, nice layout there, but on this board here you can see there's 3 little chips. I'm not too sure what these actually do, to be honest with you, but yeah, rather than the one doing the work on the first one, on that 2050, on this 2100, there's 3 little chips there. And as we spin it round and look at the back, as you can see, you can put your own phono cables in there. So just being a little bit more upmarket, I suppose, in that respect as well. So now we look at the 2216B receiver. Here's the tuner layout, and as you may notice straight away that this looks pretty much the same as the 2100, which surprised me because I was expecting it to look a bit more like the 2050. But yeah, it looks very similar, with a few odd bits missing or added, vice versa to both these items. So that board's, you know, pretty much identical. The only thing I didn't like really, for, you know, look at the layout completely, is the power supply and the amp being very close on the same board to each other. I do like them to be on a separate board, power supply, and a separate board, the amp. They're kind of like cramped up here a bit. Didn't like that, I don't think. But other than that, I mean, the receiver sounds fine. Just, you know, just nitpicking maybe. But yeah, like I say, the inside's very similar to the 2100, which I like to say I was surprised, because the actual receiver sounds more like, if you was going to tip the scales, it sounded more like the 2050. Anyway, that's the insides. You hopefully would have got my review video earlier on, and next one I want to come out with. I cut you off. Sorry, it's been maybe a bit of abrupt cutting. I call this my final part of the video. I'm not too sure which order you've done this in, because like I say, I had to make some room, take them apart, as you've sort of already seen, and also give my review. And miraculously they've all come back for the end part. But yes, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I say, a little look inside these 3 units and a sound comparison there, and my thoughts on them there. Yeah, what I will say, just as a little final thing on these receivers, don't forget these receivers, I probably hasn't mentioned it anywhere else in the video, that these are not like an FM receiver, like one of these digital receivers you're going to get. You're going to get little bits of background noise on these items, to be expected. With these at the bottom of the range, like I say, really more upmarket, more, you know, dearer, better ones are probably not so much, but hopefully not so much. I don't know, so I can't give an opinion on it, but you will find after also these kind of warm up a bit, all the components in that warm up, so you will find it, and it's not unusual, just in case you buy one, you may think, oh, maybe something wrong with it. There isn't. Not this is alarmingly, drifting, but you will find these will drift. I mean, they put, the centimetre, like the actual tuning meter, it slightly drift over a period of time. All three of them have done it. They all do. It's not vast, but it just means you may just want to, after an hour or so or whatever, you may just want to come back and just give it a tap. You may be alright. It's only if you're going to lose the signal, I suppose, you're going to really notice. But they will all move. I haven't come across one yet that's got the meter that kind of goes left or right that stays bang on forever, so to speak. They do slightly, they slightly drift. To be expected. Don't forget, these are 40 years old minimum, like 40 years old, and the components, I'm not saying they're knackered, they're not knackered. It's just, they warm up and they change, and this is how they were made years ago. Today they've got AFC, they've got like quartz locks and all that kind of stuff, where it doesn't move, it automatically compensates for that computer inside or whatever, the circuit inside. Basically going to do what you're going to do, just move it across again and keep it dead on, so to speak. So that's it really. Yeah, I'll say thanks for watching. We'll get on with another video soon. I've got soldering one, hopefully I'm going to sort out as soon as possible. I might little maybe rant about the eBay serviced items, but until then I'll say thanks for watching.